Hi, it's Mike with AskTractorMike.com. I'm pretty pumped today because hopefully you're going to learn something out of this video, but I know I'm going to learn something out of this video. I come from a sales background. I'm not a service guy. And anytime I'm doing my own work on my own machinery, I always wonder, what do I grab in terms of lubricants and penetrants and things like that? This is what I usually grab, and most of the time this works. This is just standard WD-40. I've used this my entire life. I love this product. And WD-40 Company is the sponsor of this video. Sometimes though, you need a product that's a little bit more specialized than this, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Let's get started. And I'm really excited today to have as my guest over Zoom, Robin Bellucci, who is Sports Marketing Manager for WD-40 Company. He's been with them since 2014. He's a Southern California guy and a lifelong motorsports enthusiast, and his family owned a diesel shop, so he's been around repairs and working on stuff his whole life. So Robin, good to have you here today. First thing I want to ask you, WD-40 Specialist line are specialized products for certain applications, and a big part of that line are lubricants. And if you were to talk to my folks who own tractors, what would you say are some of the most important products in that line that they should have on their workbench?
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for the great intro as well. Yeah, the lubricant line is quite extensive, and it's a branch off of, and the specialist line is an extension of products for specialized uses and different use cases. So, the main four that I would, jump into in regards to its uses in the industries that you're in would be the dry lube, a gel lube, a white lithium grease, and a silicone. Dry lube is really good in environments where it's dry and dusty conditions. It's a thin lubricant. It won't pick up a lot of dirt and grime. The gel lube is really a fantastic product for situations where you don't want any drip. So if you're working on a surface that's vertical or under the tractor, that's a really great product, and it really starts working once the mechanism starts moving. Our white lithium grease is great for outdoor applications where you've got heavy duty metal on metal. And then silicone is a great product when you're dealing anything near like boots and bushings and rubber components, as well as moisture environments.
Okay, talking about lubricants, one thing I have a hard time with is keeping my pallet forks lubricated. I've tried using just straight old grease and it goms up. I've tried a little bit of everything there. A lot of products don't last very long. What's your recommendation to keep my pallet forks where those forks will slide along the rails?
Our gel lube would be a great product for that because it's not going to just drip off of the surface that you're lubricating. And the white lithium grease is also a really good application for that. With pallet forks and any kind of buckets or anything that's moving, heavy duty metal to metal, especially when you're exposed to the environments, you're going to want to go with something a little bit more heavy duty. The gel lube is nice because it's not going to drip and make a mess over everything else. It's really just going to stay right where you spray it. So I would probably start with that.
Robin, one product I've always wondered about where you use, what application you use is silicone. Where should I use silicone?
Silicone would be great for if you're in a tractor that has an enclosed cab in it and you've got a window that you're sliding back and forth. I would use those in the window track. Anywhere where you're going to see a little bit of moisture from the outdoors is where I would use the silicone. So window tracks usually have a little rubber seal on the bottom that moves back and forth or things like that on the rail. If you have a large surface that's going to get a lot of mud on it or a lot of dirt and grime on it, you can wipe it down with our silicone after you've cleaned it. And what that's going to do is it's going to give it a protective coating. So when it gets dirty again, it makes it really easy to clean, so you're not busting out the scraper and then scratching up the paint and doing all that kind of stuff. And it keeps the dirt, like when you get like wet dirt and then dry dirt, and it almost becomes like a rock and it glues to the metal surfaces. So if you coat that with a silicone when it's clean, when that dirt hits the surface, it gives it a protective barrier, so it doesn't allow it to like just really weld onto that material, so it becomes easier to clean later on.
Robin, where should I use white lithium grease?
Any heavy metal to metal moving parts. where you're not so much concerned with how clean is it going to stay, or you're not so much concerned with is it going to spread out to other areas. It's really that area where you just need a good coating of lubrication and grease somewhere where you're going to have heavy duty metal to metal moving. So I'm thinking like any kind of tracks that are sliding inside of a metal rail, you could use white lithium grease in those areas.
Robin, one of the questions I get a lot of times from viewers is one of my gear shift levers or my PTO lever is frozen up. What product do I want to do to keep linkages working smoothly?
The shifters and those items for sure are dry lube would be the best item. It really does a really good job of coating the metal surface, and then the moisture evaporates away and it's left with a nice thin lubricant that should last a long time.
The WD-40 Specialist line also includes some really good cleaners. And Robin, I want you to talk about, our tractors get nasty. If you hit them with a power washer, you can blow grease all over them, and then that doesn't come off with a power washer. What's the best thing I can use to clean my tractor?
If you're using the tractor 2 to 3 times a week, I would hit it with the non-aerosol degreaser even once a week or once every couple weeks, just to keep the dirt and the dust off of there. You could literally just take that and spray it very generously all over the tractor, whether it's on the seats or on the bucket or on the cab or engine, anywhere. You can spray it everywhere. You can use it to wash your tractor and clean the non-aerosol degreaser to clean your tractor and clean all the surfaces, but also clean your shop, clean the shop floor, everything.
Robin, I want to talk about with the WD-40 Specialist rebranding, the Penetrant. WD-40 Specialist Penetrant has a new feature that I'm pretty excited about and I will use. Tell us about that.
We just now released that product, our Penetrant, with a flexible straw. So similar to our Easy Reach. And that allows you to get into those areas where it might be hard to otherwise get to when you're trying to disassemble a single nut or bolt that might be behind another part that's in the way. So the goal with that was to really allow someone to use all the product by just moving the straw where they need it and not having to turn the can upside down or sideways or things like that. But the formula itself, it's got a very, very low surface tension. So penetrants in general, you want them to travel across any type of metal surface very, very quickly. So, our lubricant or our silicone, if you were to take a drop of that on a piece of metal and just with a drop applicator, you'll see it hit the sheet of metal and it'll just spread, slowly. It'll kind of hold its composure. If you were to do that with our gel lube, it's literally going to hit the surface and stay right where it is. If you do that with our penetrant, it is going to run faster than water. I mean, it is just going to sprint across the surface. And that's really what you want with the good penetrant. And our penetrant has a very, very, very low surface tension. So it hits those threads. Threads are normally wrapped like this. A finer thread is going to be a bit more vertical, but some of the coarse thread starts getting a little bit more angle to them. So you need a penetrant that can literally travel up or down the threads really quickly to break that corrosion apart.
Now let's go with a couple of other little problems I hear from my viewers from time to time. A lot of times, folks, their seat on the tractor will get stuck, especially if you leave it in the same place for long periods of time. What's the best thing for me to use to get that seat free? And does it matter if I've got a cab or not cab? What's a good product for that?
The rails for the seat, I would say, first cleaning them really well would do a lot, and then hitting it with either our white lithium grease or our gel lube. It's going to be a little bit thicker. You could use the dry lube, but if you're outside and it's exposed to a lot of elements, the rails might end up, just drying out pretty quickly. But if you used our white lithium grease or our gel lube, you're going to end up cleaning it a little more often, but it should always slide back and forth really, really easily.
And finally, Robin, probably one of the most common problems on a tractor, and this happens with people like me that are kind of weekend farmers. We don't farm for a living. We park our tractor in the winter and we don't use it that much, and then we come back in the spring and the PTO shaft is frozen up. It won't go in or out. What's a good way to keep that from happening before I put the tractor away for the winter, or the implements away for the winter that are PTO powered?
The first thing would be to clean it as best as we can. So I would use our degreaser, our aerosol degreaser, and shoot that in there, get it as clean as possible, wipe it down, and then spray it with either our gel lube or probably our white lithium grease, one of those two items. And once that's in there, that'll give it a nice spray coating to be able to join and union the PTO shaft back into where it needs to go.
Now, Robin, the WD-40 line is going through a rebranding. Tell us about that.
What we've realized is, when people are researching products, they're researching them to be able to get something done at home. And if we can save them time and we can make it easier for them to understand the product and get the product that they need, they can get back to their project at home. And that was a big part of it. So the rebrand was really about just bringing all the Specialist products into some of those colors that come off our main product, and using some of that equity to really allow us to communicate what the product is and how it's used and what it's for in a real quick way.
Okay, Robin, last question today. If you were a tractor owner and you had to pick, say, 4 WD-40 Specialist products to keep on your workbench, now I've got a bunch of them, but if I could only pick 4, what would you pick?
Yeah, of course. So we'll put the WD-40 multi-use product, which is our classic product, aside. So that's already there. We'll assume that. I would say the Penetrant for sure. The Gel Lube for sure is a great product. It can be used for a lot of different applications. I would pick up the Dry Lube, and I would also make sure, have the non-aerosol degreaser as the cleaner. If you can just have one, I would take the non-aerosol degreaser.
Robin, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate y'all watching. Hope you learned something today. If you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I'd be honored. Click the mic face icon and check the bell so you're notified when I post future videos. Here's a link to my website with the Tractor Fun Store with great gift ideas for the tractor owner. Here's another video you might want to watch. Thanks for watching.